Guess what? The more that you are focused on everything outside of yourself, the more out of balance you're gonna feel. The more uncertain you're gonna feel. The more overwhelmed you're going to feel. The more sadness, the more anger, the more frustration, the more grief, the more pride you're going to feel when you are focused on outside of yourself. Now here's the problem. We were all programmed from the jump to focus on everything outside of ourselves. Think about it. From the moment you were born, everything was externalized. You needed to depend on caregivers, parents, right? And then beyond that, you start going to school, and then you're focused on what the teacher wants. Then you're learning about everyone else's history, and you ain't never really focused on yourself, right? Through most of your impressionable years, you're dependent on other people, hoping that other people will take care of you, will dress you, will guide you, teach you. And a lot of times we create a lot of, in those impressionable years, 0 to 10 years old, I mean, that's where all the damage is done. Let's just be honest. That's where all the damage is done that still has us confused about who we are and what we're supposed to be doing in this life in our adult years, in our 20s, in our 30s, in our 40s, and beyond. Think about this. And yet, I'm grateful to each and every one of you that have been starting to connect and hear this message that's flowing through me to you. It's the greatest privilege for me to be able to share wisdom, to share truth, to help people to really reconnect with what? Your true and authentic self. That's the whole entire thing, is like awakening from the density and the delusion that you are only the person that you see on that government issued ID, and that this is your one shot. And what's wild about that is, for most of us, we're spending all of our energy, most of our energy, on things that we have zero, like little to no control over. Are you someone that's doing that? Where you literally have almost no control over anything that's going on outside of you, but yet you're putting all your energy there because that was the program. Thus, it's like this life is like a grand classroom. We need to start thinking in terms like that, that the whole entire life experience is like a class. It's like being in school. And the lessons that need to be learned are not the ones you think you need to learn, right? The lessons that need to be learned is to truly reawaken your true self. Well, who is your true self? Again, I don't believe it's the person that you see in the mirror. I know it's not this guy that I'm seeing, that you're seeing right now. That's not my true and authentic self. The true and authentic self that I represent is the version of me that you're hearing at a very soul level, that when you just happen to come across this message, it stops you in your track and you're like, whoa, algorithm got me again. And is it really? I know the algorithm has a lot to do with these things, but it's not everything. It's like we're searching, we're seeking, we're looking for that alignment. And I believe that that's where the divine comes into play and allows for the technology to be refined and aligned in such a perfect timing that, man, it's like fresh water on a scorched, dry, hot day. And yet when that happens, it's not you seeing me, it's you hearing. And what are you hearing? You're hearing the spirit inside of me that has figured this part out, which is to transcend the suffering, the lower self, the ego, the government issue ID, the birth certificate, the citizenship, and to truly awaken into the galactic being, the cosmic, eternal soul that is within me and within you and every single person out here, man. Every single person. There's no hierarchy in terms of our souls. And when you start to see that, it literally shifts. It literally shifts. You know, I put out a message yesterday, and a lot of people, man, the grief has really got people, it really has people held back. We're holding ourselves back. The dog agrees. He's like, yep, this dude, I'm gonna see him. But we hold on to things. We've hold on to past versions of ourselves. I mean, it's like in this lifetime, and most of you can relate with this. In our lifetime right now, like, think about your life. Does it feel like you've lived like 5, 6, 7, 8 lives, like all these different lives? And it's because in this reality, we are collapsing timelines. And what do I mean by that? It's like all time is now, but it's like you're going through this evolution of your soul to awaken. It's to awaken the soul within you. We are so, and the more that you're focused on the government, the social issues, the sports, the distractions, what does that connect you with? That doesn't connect you with your soul. That connects you with the physical world. And the problem is the more that you depend on the physical, you get let down. It puts you off balance. And you always feel a sense of emptiness. The more and more and the more that you try. The more and the more that you grieve. And yet, so what does it take? What is it going to take for you to be able to start focusing more on what matters? I talk about this all the time. We need to start looking in the mirror. You need to really stop looking out the window and start looking in the mirror. And when you start looking in the mirror, you start looking within. You close your eyes and you start looking within. You start really sifting through. How do you really feel? What's really going on inside of you? What makes you feel alive, come alive, and what closes you off? What feels like it's in alignment for you and it's building you up and it's nourishing you? Hopefully a message like this. If so, comment down below, subscribe, share. If a message like this is nourishing you, connecting with you, feeding you at a spiritual soul level, well then guess what? You need more of that. But if you're also someone that gets caught up in looking for things to just kind of entertain you and give you a laugh and distract you, and you know what I mean? It's like that shit is so temporary, and yet it's really nonsensical. And that's painful for a lot of people to hear, is the nonsensicalness of the entertainment, because we're so wired to say, I need to be entertained. I need to feel happy. And it's like, man, no, you need to feel whole and complete. And when you don't feel whole and complete, guess what? You're seeking things on the outside to give you some sense of pleasure, some sense of fulfillment. It'll never work. It'll never work. Your dream car showing up, it'll last for a fucking 6 months. And you're going to be bored. You're going to be back to who you are on the inside. And this is not in any way, shape, or form to discredit, the law of attraction and knowing that if you're in alignment, and when I talk about total health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, physical health, financial health, and then things come into your life, I mean, you enjoy it so much more, but you're not attached to it. And that's the biggest part of grief, is that we have mentally and emotionally attached to something that we know in our heart of hearts and our soul we have no control over, and we have a story that somehow that person being gone is gone forever and ever and ever, and it questions our whole entire reality, our whole entire faith. And we want to, and that's part of the grief cycle, right? Is the bargaining, wishing and wanting something to be different. And if you want to move past that, you should reach out to me, Greg at resultskillexcuses.com. I ask for 3 things. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Let's schedule a 90-minute strategy session. And you need to show the fuck up. Show up to the session. And it's scary to do that. It's scary to do these new things. But a lot of times, and I believe this, that I'm stepping into my healer role on this planet. And there's going to be some shifts happening. Starting right now with this video, I promise you. Major shifts, because I'm continuing to heal and expand myself in alignment with what? Becoming the best version of myself. It's what I want to encourage you to do, because if I can do it, you can do it. We're all capable. This is the whole point of the school that we're calling life. And yet we create these attachments, especially when we lose things. Especially when we've aged and we feel like we've lost this youthful, vibrant, sexy version of ourselves. Or we've lost, a child. I can tell you a story that throughout my therapy, my therapist shared a book with me, and it really put me in check about a lot of childhood trauma, but a lot of family dynamics. And it's a very toxic trait when you label ownership over your children. And it's a hierarchical, authoritarian, negative energy when you say, my kid, that's my daughter, my son. You are stripping them and robbing them of their sovereignty, of being a sentient, like their own sovereign being, like their own soul. To give them identity doesn't mean you lose love for them, but we cling to things. Mine, 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 mine. It's mine. If you're saying mine, that's my, what's it called? Anything, fill in the blank. You are setting yourself up for some deep, deep, deep grief and some deep, deep, deep loss. And you need to start to shift and transform your way of thinking. Energetically speaking, you can't just logically figure this out, because logically it is yours. Spiritually it is not, though. Nothing's attached. Look around your body. There's no appendages. No one is attached to you. Not your partner of 50 years, not your children, right? Not your mommy or daddy. No one's attached. We're all connected, but it's energy. And there's oneness in that. And we're all playing this cosmic, theatrical role in this story called our existence. And yet we create these stories that's my kid, or that's my mom or my dad, or that's my abuser, that's my ex-narcissist. And it's like, all of these things we need to let go of. And as you do, you become free. If you're someone that is grieving pain of loss of something, the reason why you're grieving it is because you're focused on that loss, something you have no control over. At the end of grief is acceptance. And the thing that we need to accept isn't necessarily the fact that there's loss there, because there's not loss there. Energetically, anybody you've ever connected with is always connected with you energetically. You need to shift your beliefs. And the thing is that I'm not here to change your beliefs. If whatever reality you want and you need for this life, go after that. Keep doing that. But if this message resonates with you, lean into it. Share this message. Subscribe to the channel. Let me get to know you. I truly do believe in building a community of like-minded individuals that are truly willing to hold each other accountable by holding themselves accountable first, and truly becoming the best version of yourself. But at the end of the day, and at the beginning of the day, it's waking up and seeing every single person as a soul. There's no possession. You don't get to own another soul. You got to work on your own. And so the reason why you're suffering is because you're looking out the mirror, you're looking out the window, not in the mirror. And when you start looking in the mirror, you start looking at ways to improve yourself. I've always said this: if you want to improve the relationship you have with others, you have to improve the relationship that you, yes, you, have with yourself, your inner self. Well, how can you do that? Journaling is a great way to do that. Click on the link down below. 1% Better Everyday Journal. is one of the most incredible resources that I, yes, me, designed from my experience, 13 years of therapy, of journaling, of emotional healing, of all kinds of different therapies. I found what worked every single day so that I could hold myself accountable and really start to process my emotional wounds, sort through all the complexities of life, and start to reprogram my negative thinking, and also elevate my understanding of this existence. And packed in there is really a special thing. There's literally a 91-day course coached by me on the Results Kill Excuses app that guides you through self-sabotage through self-mastery. You can't go wrong. Invest in you. That's where it really takes. But it is developing a relationship with yourself. And this is something that most souls on this planet have forgotten what to do, forgotten about that relationship because we're so focused on the outside. Ask yourself, look yourself in the mirror and say, how much focus do you put on what's going on outside of you versus how much time do you put on cultivating the things that you love, the things that you don't like, the things that you want, and why, and like understanding that, look, the more you love yourself genuinely, authentically, like sincerely taking care of yourself, I promise you, you will start to attract back the things that are for you in your life. There will be an opportunity for reconciliation if it's in alignment with your purpose. Sometimes we lose things and there's always an energetic connection, but our soul contract is done. And that can also come between parents and children. It could become between lovers, friends, business, professional relationships. We have soul contracts to fulfill. And a lot of times when we're living unconscious, this is the problem. If you're living unconsciously, that means you don't really understand the essence of this whole existence. And that means that you are being pulled and directed in all the different ways. You're being manipulated, and ultimately you're giving yourself to that manipulation. Because if you're hearing this message and if you stayed for this long, there's a part of you that is ready to break free from all of that manipulation, for all of that distortion, and truly awaken the conscientiousness within you. And I'm here to support you along that way. I love you guys so much. Thank you to everyone that's been jumping on, everyone that comments, everyone that's been a part of this journey. Continue showing up as the best version of yourself. Be the light in this world. Hold yourself to the highest standard, right? And in doing that, you will make a tremendous difference to help elevate the conscientiousness of this world. I love you guys. You know the drill. Results kill excuses. Because if it was easy,